Hello, all my fit friends. Welcome back to Wow Body Now. So for all of my subscribers and people returning back to the channel, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. I love picturing you guys on the other end of the camera working out with me every week and tuning in every week. So thank you so much. If you are new, if this is your first video here at Wow Body Now, I'm so glad you're here and I hope you become a true fit friend. So a quick introduction for all you newbies out there. My name is Evan Himmighofer. I have had a YouTube channel, oh my gosh, I think for over 11 years, and I've been posting weekly workouts and workout challenges, all in an effort to fulfill my personal mission of helping people fall in love with their bodies all over again in a new way. And my mission to help people transform not just their bodies, but their lives using fitness and a healthy lifestyle as a catalyst for these life transformations. So I'm so happy you're here with me. I'm going to try to get through this video, hopefully in one take without too many interruptions from my 3-year-old here. But so today, this is not a workout upload. So you can see from the title, I want to talk about something different today, something that I learned during my fitness journey that became pivotal to my success at finally losing weight and keeping it off forever, right? And I want to share this with you now because I want you to avoid the mistakes that I made. I want you to be able to avoid the mistakes that kept me in a cycle of lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight for years so that you don't have to suffer through that. All right, so a quick backstory. In my first semester of college, I gained 20 pounds rather quickly. And that was the first time in my life that I was overweight. And I hated it, right? Duh. Who doesn't hate gaining a little excess fat? I'm not sure. But that led to me dieting for the first time in my life. And it also led to me exercising just for weight loss for the first time in my life. Prior to that, I participated in sports, and to me, exercise was just something that was part of sport and fun. But that was the first time in my life that I was trying to use exercise just for weight loss. And these efforts, unfortunately, spiraled, to make it quick, a quick story, not too long, it spiraled into several years of being caught up in a binge eating cycle. This was a cycle of yo-yo dieting and binge eating that I was trapped in for years. I would go from periods of severe caloric restriction and over exercising, doing way too much cardio. And that would lead to my body revolting. Our bodies don't like us being in caloric restriction, especially severe caloric restrictions. And your body is going to adjust to where your metabolism is going to slow down. You're going to develop very strong cravings to eat because your body wants you to survive. And so I would go from caloric restriction to major cravings to binge periods, just YOLO periods of me grabbing whatever junk food I can to fulfill these cravings. And then, of course, what followed? You know what follows. Severe guilt, feeling shame, self-loathing, just really like hating myself for succumbing to the cravings. And so this cycle, these years of yo-yo dieting and being caught up in this binge cycle left my metabolism shot. Not only did I not lose the 20 pounds, but I gained an extra 15 pounds. I was 35 pounds overweight, and on my small frame, I'm only 5'1", 5'1 and a half on a tall day. I'm very petite and small boned. I don't know if you can tell, but I have a very small bone structure too. I have small ankles and small wrists. Anyway, 35 pounds on a petite person is a lot. 35 extra pounds on anybody is a lot. And so during this period, my metabolism was shot, but worst of all, so was my self-confidence and my self-love. During this time, I was food obsessed. I always thought about what to eat, what not to eat, how it would affect my weight and my appearance. When I would go out with girlfriends for a fun night out, I always imagined people judging me as the chubby one. And as a result, I was robbed of fully appreciating and enjoying those experiences out, right? I did not feel comfortable in my body. In fact, I felt out of control in my body. I felt like I was a victim to these cravings and unable to overcome them. And so I was overweight. I had this lack of self-confidence and control. And I just, it's weird to say this, but I'm sure if you're feeling anything right now, if I'm touching base with you, you probably feel this way too at times. Like, I actually believed that I was destined to be overweight for the rest of my life. And even worse, I believed that I deserved it. I believed that I deserved it because I thought of myself as weak, as someone who lacked the willpower and determination necessary to make the healthy changes. Because through this binge eating cycle, I failed so many times that I just thought, you're weak, you deserve to be fat, and you're going to be fat for the rest of your life. You're going to be unhealthy and unhappy for the rest of your life. I felt that way. So does any of this sound or feel familiar to you? If so, I'm so glad you're here, because I hope that this video can help you get on a different path, can help you break out of that cycle, and help you realize that you are stronger and more capable than you realize, that you don't deserve to be overweight, unhealthy, unhappy. No, you are great, you are awesome, and you deserve all the happiness in the world and all the health and wellness in the world. All right, so what helped me change? So one day, I was in my parents' basement, and my dad had, hold on, yes? So I was in my parents' basement, my dad had a library, and it was this blue book, this blue paperback, and it caught my attention. The title caught my attention. It was called Willpower is Not Enough, Why You Don't Succeed at Change. And that was actually total opposite of my thought process, right? Like, I thought that the title should read, your willpower is not enough. That is why you are not succeeding, right? So for years, my weight loss strategy was just relying solely on my determination and willpower to eat way less calories than I should, to exercise and do cardio way more than I should. And that was my only plan. White knuckle it through, just try my hardest, depend on all of my willpower to make those changes. And in the midst of this cycle, I couldn't see for myself that it was not the best strategy, that I was failing over again. Like, instead, I thought I was doing everything right. I thought I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing, and I would just continually blame myself for not having enough determination and willpower to make the changes. So that book piqued my attention, and so I picked it up and I started reading it. And I learned that willpower cannot be your sole source of motivation. It can't be the only thing that you rely on to make healthy changes. And for years, whenever I saw somebody who I admired for their successes in life, or in particular for their body and their healthy physique, I always assumed that they were either born with awesome genetics and they just don't have much effort to do it, or I assumed that they were born with some super willpower that empowered them to make and keep healthy habits that I just didn't have. But this book taught me differently. This book taught me that you can't rely just on willpower, and that people who are successful in life aren't successful just because of willpower. Sure, willpower has its place. We have to utilize it sometimes and in certain situations, but it can't be the only thing you're relying on to make healthy habits, to make healthy changes, right? There's actually a skill that these successful people have that is the root of their success. So would you like to know what this skill is? I bet you do. Drum roll, please. The skill that I'm talking about is the skill of creating and developing new habit. I'm talking about habit. Habit is 1,000 times more powerful than willpower. Willpower is fleeting, right? But habits seem automatic and ingrained in us, and we go through our habits without even thinking. That's why they're so much more powerful than willpower. So conscious thought, cognition, thinking, it comes from the part of your brain right behind your forehead called the prefrontal cortex, right? And thinking about changing devising a plan for changing is the easy part, right? Happens very easily. We think about things a lot and we can devise plans very easily from the prefrontal cortex, right? But if deciding to change and making a plan to change was all it took to actually succeed at change, everybody would have a perfect life, right? How many times have you resolved, have you thought about and decided and created a plan to eat healthy and lose weight? If you're like 45% of Americans, you do that just about every year for your New Year's resolution. But how many times have you been completely successful at following through? If you're like 95% of Americans who do those resolutions, you've probably failed. And if you're like me, you failed over and over again. And that's because it's a lot harder to access the part of the brain where habits are. You see, when a behavior becomes habit, it gets stored in the deep primal part of your brain called the basal ganglia. Now, most of us, when we want to have a new healthy habit or kind of break the cycle of an old unhealthy habit, we just focus on the behavior, on the actual habit itself, that behavior pattern that we go through. And we don't think about the root cause, what is triggering that behavior, and why we do it, what actual need we are fulfilling with that behavior, right? So in order to make healthy changes, you have to get to that deep primal basal ganglia, and you have to disrupt the thought pattern there. And you do that not by just focusing on the behavior, but by figuring out and focusing on what's triggering it and the need you're trying to fulfill. What's the reward there? So researchers have learned that there are 3 parts to a habit. The cue, which is the trigger, what causes that behavior pattern to start. The behavior pattern, the routine, or the actual habit itself. And then 3, the reward. And that is, what's that need that you're fulfilling? And the reward is what ingrains and makes that habit become habit. It's what makes it part of your subconscious. It's what reinforces the behavior and eventually makes it an automatic habit. So I want this to be a very practical video for you. I don't just want to talk about my story and this is what I learned, but at the end of this video, I want you to have concrete steps to take to make healthy changes. So let's talk about those steps. There's 4 steps I want to talk about. And these 4 steps I learned from Charles Duhigg, who is a best-selling author of a book called The Power of Habit, Why We Do What We Do in Business and Life. And so the first step you need to do to start disrupting the old unhealthy habits and replacing them with new ones is to diagnose the cue. So you have to figure out what is triggering that automatic unhealthy habit, first of all. And cues usually fall under 5 categories. It can be the time of day. For example, have you ever noticed that maybe at a certain time of the day, a certain time of the afternoon, you always crave potato chips maybe, something like that. Another cue category could be certain people that you hang around. So have you ever noticed that you might behave or act or even think a different way around certain people? All right. It can also be a certain place that triggers you and a certain behavior. For example, every time you go to the mall, do you have to stop at Cinnabon and get a cinnamon bun? If you're like me, yeah, you want to do that. Another trigger category is emotions. All right, that's why we have emotional eating, right? A lot of times when we're feeling stress or anxiety, or we feel a lack of emotion or a lack of fulfillment somehow, we start to crave hyper-palatable, very high fatty or sugar salty foods, right? And the last one is simply another set of behaviors can trigger a certain behavior. For example, an example of this is lots of people, when they drink alcohol, they might crave a cigarette, right? So when you notice a habit kicking in, you need to stop and you need to get curious. You need to ask yourself a couple questions to diagnose the cue. Ask yourself, take note of the time of day. And if you start to notice that you have this happening at the certain time of the day, usually, then you can know that that might be playing into that's part of your trigger, right? That's part of the cue. Ask yourself Take note of the circumstances. Are you in a certain place every time this unhealthy habit comes up? Are you around certain people every time this unhealthy habit comes up? Are you feeling a certain way? Take a note of how you're feeling and your emotions. All right? Is there another habit that goes along with it? Get curious, ask yourself these questions, and just make notes. And then go back after a couple weeks and see if there's any pattern going on here to really diagnose the cue. It's going to be important for you to be able to figure out a plan to overcome this unhealthy habit. So step number 2 is diagnose the reward. You want to figure out what is the need that you're actually fulfilling, that this habit is fulfilling. Because until you understand what that need is, you can't figure out how to fulfill that need in a more healthy way, right? So sometimes the need or the reward is obvious, and sometimes it's less so obvious. So let's think of an example. Let's take the afternoon potato chip craving example. Let's say every day at work around 2:30 in the afternoon, you start to crave potato chips. And so it's 2:30, that craving kicks in, and so you head down to the break room, you get some potato chips from the vending machine, and you sit and you talk with your coworkers or whatever and eat your potato chips. All right? So is the reward just that you're hungry and the reward is just eating the potato chips themselves? Maybe. Or maybe you're craving those potato chips just because it's an excuse to get up and walk around. Are you really just feeling antsy at your desk and you need some time away from your desk and a break from your work? Maybe, I don't know. And maybe the potato chips are just a craving that goes along with as an excuse to get away from your desk. Or maybe that craving is just triggering a habit. Maybe you're feeling a little bit socially isolated. Maybe you want to go take some time and you want to actually go down and talk to people in the office and you just need a little socialization, right? This could be 3 different rewards stemming that you could be trying to fulfill. So the only way you're going to know what the reward is to do a little experiment. So as you're taking notes and figuring out what the cue is, you can do little experiments to find out what the actual true reward is. If you're actually just hungry, if that's the true need that you're fulfilling, you don't have to go to the break room. You can avoid that vending machine of potato chips altogether by maybe packing a healthy snack, some almonds and yogurt or apple or whatever, and just eating that at your desk. Do that for a day. If you still have that need and that doesn't fulfill your need and you're still feeling dissatisfied, it isn't just hunger that's driving this habit, right? So the next day, maybe you're going to test the theory that maybe you just need to get rid of some energy and maybe you just need a break from your work. So the next day, you're going to go ahead and maybe you're going to take that healthy snack and you're going to go outside and walk around the office building a couple times, right? If that makes you feel good and you're ready to come back into work after that, then okay, great. I really am maybe a little bit hungry, but I really just need to get away and get some movement in, right? But if you do that and you're still not totally satisfied, maybe the next day you're going to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take my healthy snack down to the break room and I'm going to eat that as I socialize with my friends. And if that leaves you feeling totally satisfied and better, ready to go tackle the rest of the afternoon, then maybe you're fulfilling a need, and the reward isn't just eating something, but it's also socializing with people. So experiment with it to figure out what is actually helping you feel good and satisfying this need. What is the actual true reward? All right, so step 1, diagnose the cue. Step 2, diagnose the reward. Step 3 is you need to manipulate your environment and surroundings to give yourself the chances for best success. Okay? We always want to follow the pathway of least resistance. So if you can manipulate your surroundings and your environment to help you make the healthiest choices, the easiest choices, you're going to be so much more successful so much quicker. So, for example, let's say we did determine that yes, you are a little bit hungry, but 2, your true need that you're trying to fulfill is socialization. So how can you manipulate your day, your environment to make a healthier choice? We already talked about it. 1, pack a healthy snack. And then maybe you'll avoid the break room altogether so you won't be tempted at all to grab the potato chips. Maybe you'll go ahead and you'll email or you'll arrange with your favorite work buddy to meet at his or her desk to have a little 5-minute break together to snack and to gossip about the latest office drama there, right? So you're manipulating your environment. You're having your healthy snack right at your desk so that you don't have to go down to the break room, and you still need socialization. So you're going to go meet your friend at their desk, or maybe you're going to go outside and meet your friend away from the vending machine, the potato chips. And that's going to make it so much easier for you to avoid the unhealthy potato chips and to replace it with a more healthy habit, right? So step number 2, diagnose the cue. Or step number 1, diagnose the cue. Step number 2, diagnose the reward. Step number 3, manipulate your environment to increase your odds of success and to make healthy choices the pathway of least resistance. And the final step, step number 4, is just be consistent. If you fall off the wagon, get right back on. Your mindset needs to be one that you realize that changing and making habit, creating habits, especially healthy ones, is a skill. A skill, just like anything else, requires practice, patience, and consistency. So you need to be patient with yourself. Don't let a slip off or one mistake derail your efforts. Learn from it. And I want you to recommit to the process as long as it takes to become automatic. And I promise you, it will get easier and easier as you go. And you'll become better skilled at creating new healthy habits the more new healthy habits you create. And that's just going to help you be more skilled at being a happy person and in creating the life that you truly want. Not just physical transformations, but relationship transformations, career transformations, anything else, any other habit that you want to instill in your life, this process works for. So I hope this helped. I hope you're feeling empowered to go out there and to make the changes that you're desiring, to break the cycles of unhealthy habits and replace them with new ones. You just got to remember the 4 steps. Diagnose the cue, diagnose the reward, manipulate your environment to make healthy choices the pathway of least resistance, and number 4, be consistent. I know you can make the healthy choices. Sometimes we need a little bit of help. I know I did along the way. And if you're feeling like you need a little help, you want a little extra coaching, I do offer coaching. And there's a link below for an application. You are more than welcome to contact me there. Or you know what? You don't even have to do it that way. If you have any questions, write them in the comments below, and I'm going to try to get around and answer them to help you. I just want to help you. You deserve a happy, healthy life. We all do. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You deserve all the great things in life, right? And you can do it. You can create the life that you want. All right, so I'm going to get going. I haven't heard from my 3-year-old in a bit. I'm going to go check and make sure she's not getting into anything. And I will see you for our next workout of the week. Bye, everyone. Mwah.